Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I'm so glad that you're here. It's a beautiful day today. The sun is brightly shining. And y'all, even though it says fall should be here on the calendar, we really only have fall temperatures between like 3 a.m. and 3:15 a.m. Like, I don't know what's going on. It is like 85 degrees. And if you stand in the sun, it gets hot. But we're not going to complain. But I'm just like, where are the temperatures that's in the 70s at least? Like 70. Not 79, but 70. But anyway, I'm in the state of Tennessee in zone 7B. So wherever you're coming in from, if you are brand new, please say hello down in the chat below so I can say hello back to you and welcome you to the very first time that you visited my channel. Today, y'all, we're going to be talking about a couple of things, but one of the big things that we're going to be doing today is harvesting our potatoes, our Yukon Gold potatoes and our red Adirondack potatoes. I'm going to tell you when I planted them, where I got them from, why I'm harvesting them now, and all the things. But before we do that, we got some other stuff that we got to get done just in terms of like maintenance and things like that. We're going to start off and water our fruit trees because it's been probably 2 weeks since it rained really heavily. So we're going to water our fruit trees, make sure that they have good moisture. Also, I cannot wait to show you the outside garden and what it looks like. You're going to want to see that. And then we're going to harvest our potatoes. So the first thing I'm going to do is, right now, the only way we have to water our fruit trees is to take our hose pipe and literally drag it all the way over there. We don't have anything else set up right now. So that's what I got to do. At the same time, I'm going to grab our, the things that I wrapped around the tree guards. So we did the initial set of fruit trees. And since then we've added more fruit trees, not anything that you guys haven't seen. I just have not put the tree guards on there. So right now we have 13 fruit trees, in the ground. And then also I will, let you know how those are doing. We'll put the tree guards on, get them watered, and then we'll go to the outside garden, show you what that's like, and the potatoes. So we got a lot to cover today, but we're going to do it together. So let me go grab the hose pipe and get to watering. So when it comes to keeping the fruit trees watered, I've been aiming to water them once a week because the temperatures are mild. And of course, if it rains, that's even better. But it has not rained in over a week, and there's no rain in the forecast for another 4 or 5 days. So I'm going to go ahead and water them to make sure that they have enough moisture. And partly because these are new trees, you know, in the ground. They've been in the ground now for the most part, I would say probably a good 4 to 6 weeks, most of them. So I want to make sure that they get off to a good system and being established in the ground, because obviously once it gets real cold, we won't be watering and they'll just kind of go dormant. But I want to make sure that they have a good chance of getting rooted in the ground. So I go out and start with the peach trees first. The peach trees are the ones that were planted last. They've probably been in the ground now for, this is probably week 4 versus the other ones were planted 2 to 3 weeks before this one. And then also the peach trees never got the tree guards on them. And so again, in doing research about the fruit trees, because they're young and tender and all of that, one of the things it suggested was protecting the trunk or the bottom stem of the tree. So I want to make sure that there's no deer or no insects that would, you know, bite or damage the bark of the tree on the lower part, and then that way damages the tree and it won't be able to produce. So I bought these tree guards off of Amazon. I think you get a pack of like 10 and it was like maybe $15 or $20. So it wasn't overly expensive. You just kind of pop them on, coil them over, and they work, seem to be working fairly well. So there were about 3 or 4 trees left that I had not done. And so I'm putting those tree guards on there, and then I'm going to water them in. Now, when I first started watering the fruit trees, of course it was new and exciting. Now it's not new anymore. And so it's not hard, but it's just, you know, dragging the hose pipe. And this hose pipe that I'm using is a 150-foot hose pipe. So thankfully it works from the tunnel all the way out here to where the fruit trees are, to the farthest point. So we definitely didn't have to buy another one or try to hook 2 hose pipes together. So when I get done, I can just really take it back to the hot tunnel. But y'all let me know how you're watering your fruit trees, especially, you know, if they're close to your house, not close to your house. I would love to know what are some options on doing that. Okay, all fruit trees are watered. There has to be a better way. Drop in the comments, what is the better way to water these fruit trees? Again, when I first put them out here, you know, you're excited, the first watering. This is probably the fourth watering. There got to be a better way. For those that are new, we just established a fruit orchard. So these trees that I just watered have been planted in the ground for about 6 weeks now. That is why I'm making sure that they stay watered so they can get some good establishment with their root system, especially before it gets really, really cold. And so one of the things, as I've been doing research on fruit trees, again, I'm no expert. This is my very first time, but I have been consuming a lot of content. And one of the things that I've read over and over consistently is that it's good to start your fruit trees or put them in the ground in September. And basically you want to give yourself at least a 4 to 6 week lead before your first frost. So we've definitely done that. Now I have other fruit trees in my high tunnel. Don't ask me how many. Don't ask me how many. I got a lot. That have not been put in the ground. And so at this point, we're going to wait to put them in the ground in the spring just because we don't have that lead time. Our estimated first frost is supposed to be next week, actually in 3 days. But the forecast doesn't say we're going to have a first frost. So again, it's an estimate, but either way, I'm assuming the first frost will be in the next 2 weeks or so. And so I know that we don't have 4 to 6 weeks. So we're going to let them hang out in the high tunnel. For those that need to come inside, we have a plan to come inside. I'll be talking about that on an upcoming video and showing you what we're going to do about that. But the ones that are in the ground, they've been here for about 6 weeks, and it gives them a chance to establish their root system so that when spring and summer hits, they're not being put in the ground and trying to establish their place or their root system in the ground. If I had it my way, I wish I could have gotten all of them in the ground, but they all came in at different times. We've been focused doing other stuff, just trying to get ready before the first frost. And then also we have not completely nailed down the place where they're all going to go. So by spring, we should have that nailed down. And really in terms of fruit trees, what I have in the high tunnel are berry bushes and things like that. And then I have one fig tree. Everything else that is a fruit tree per se, like a tree, not a bush, is already out. So we have, I think, four apple trees, 3 peach trees, 3 pear trees, 2 plum trees, and then we have a crab apple, which is really just for pollination. They're a really good pollinator from what I've read and researched. So we have 13 in the ground. If you want to know how we established it, why we established it, and see us putting them in for the very first time, I'll pop that video up here. You can go take a look after this video. So the fruit trees are done. They're doing good. They all look good. Most of them still have green on it. I did see one crab apple, which was cute. So yeah, so now let me show you the outside garden. In case you're not able to see from the behind me, let me take you over here and let you see what has happened in the outside garden. So can somebody say bye-bye summer? Y'all, it's a wrap. The summer 2025 garden is 95% done. I still got some stuff hanging on in bits and pieces, but you will see that what was once full of life, food, color, and beauty is very now sparsely populated, y'all. We got everything up except the stuff that we wanted to keep. Look at all these watermelons that we harvested that were still on the vines. I'll be honest, y'all, I didn't even know they were here. I doubt that they're any good because most of them were not even ready. They're odd shape. They may be split, all the things. But look, y'all, it's a lot of them. It's a lot of them. I wish I had like some chickens or something. I would just feed them to some chickens or some goats or something like that. I may call somebody, see if they want to come and get them, because I'm not taking them in the house. I'm not trying to eat them. One of them we tried and it was, not ready. So I'm pretty sure these are no good, which is kind of the way it is at the end of the season. But the next step is to kind of just blow all this out, try to get it cleaned up. That is the goal. I really want to lay some tarp down over all of this just to protect it from weeds. Y'all look, this paper just needs to be ripped up and redone. My husband did this with some piece of equipment, tore this up we were trying to get something. So it needs to be redone. But y'all, this paper has been down for 4-5 years almost. So yeah, no complaints there. No complaints there. But ideally, if I could cover all this with one big tarp, it'd be hard to find one this big. This is a 40 by 100 space. And to try to keep it tamped down, because that way we won't have to worry about getting all the weeds out of these holes come spring. But that's not for today. Then what we have left are we left peppers. That's all that we left, just because the first frost is not in the forecast next week. So as many peppers as we can get, we're going to get, and we're just going to let these go until they absolutely can't go anymore. We still got bell peppers. So this whole row is either bell peppers or ahi crystal peppers. And then over there, you see we have some cayenne, which is the red ember that's still there. And then that whole row that's left is pretty much jalapenos. There are about 2 or 3 okra plants left that he didn't get a chance to get. We'll definitely get those out of there. But everything that's left is either jalapeno peppers, bell peppers, cayenne peppers, and then what we're going to tackle, we're about to tackle this blue bed, this bed there, and that bed there to harvest our potatoes. So that's what we're about to do next. Let me go grab some baskets and let's talk about these potatoes and how we got here. Okay, y'all, so let's talk about the potatoes. So last year, for the first time, I did a quote-unquote fall planting of potatoes because I didn't know that you could do that in my zone, which is zone 7. I've always done my potatoes in the spring. So usually I am putting them in the ground around March, and then I'm harvesting them in June. And traditionally I've done Yukon Gold, and then last year for the first time I did russet potatoes along with the Yukon Gold. That was this year. Last year I did a fall planting of potatoes, and I got some potatoes. They were much smaller because they didn't have nearly as much time in the ground, but it did work. So this year I decided to do it again. Now this year I was a little bit later than I wanted to be. Ideally I wanted them in the ground like the 3rd or 4th week of July, but I did not get them in the ground until August. So I did Yukon Gold and Red Adirondack, and both from Wood Prairie organic potatoes. And at the time of this video, they are 70 days old, which is like right on the cusp. Now, I've been seeing them poking above the soil, and I've been trying to heal them up and keep them covered. But this is the day that I have time to do it. And again, I'm pressed up against, I'll be going out of town in the next, 5 days. And I still have so much more, a long list of garden stuff to get done before I leave, because we're going to be gone for a couple of weeks. So this is the day it's getting done. Now, ideally, if I could let them be in the ground, like maybe 7 to 10 more days, they would make 80 days, but I don't have that luxury. So I anticipate they're going to be small, but that's okay. Something is better than nothing. But if you live in a zone 7 or above and you want to try fall potatoes, then you can try that for next year. Put them in the ground around July, and then you can harvest them as long as they get harvested before the first frost. Now, I told you our first frost is technically supposed to be in 3 days in terms of the estimated first frost date, but it doesn't say that in the forecast. But I did look at the forecast again, and it's going to be in the mid 40s in the next 2 to 3 days. Now, again, that's not frost per se, but it is, a pretty cool temperature. Would they be okay? I don't know. At the end of the day, this is the day I gotta get it done, so we're gonna go get it done. Now, I planted 2 bigger beds of 2 by 8, 2 by 10, and then I planted this smaller one here. But the smaller one here did not, they did not all sprout. Only I see one vine sprouted, so I don't know why, but those down here sprouted just fine. So we're gonna see what we get. And potatoes is always like a little treasure hunt. You never know what you're going to get because it's below the soil and all of that. So I'm excited. Oh man, y'all. Oh my goodness. Y'all, let me show you something I just saw through the fence. Do y'all see that? That is outside the fence, a huge yellow squash. I knew the plant was there, and we already did one squash, but I thought that when my husband cut the grass, that he was gonna get rid of it, but I guess he cut around it and kept it, and there's a whole nother squash growing. That is massive, y'all. Absolutely massive. Okay, we'll get that when we get done with the potatoes. Y'all, seeds want to grow. And I have another plant out there. I don't know if there's a squash on it. I see a yellow flower, but that's another one. Y'all, just in the middle, literally, y'all, outside the fence in the middle of the yard. All right, getting my gloves, because you never know if you're gonna hit an ant bed. This is really the only time I wear gloves in the garden, was when I'm doing stuff like this. Let's see what we're working with. I only see 2 areas that have sprouted. And again, potatoes are very thin skinned, so you want to be careful when you are when you're digging them up, because they're easily bruised until they are cured. That's a little bitty tiny one. And just like I thought, there's fire ants in this bed. Fire ants all in this bed. There's another one. Yukon Gold. And I don't know why this bed didn't sprout as good as the other ones. Have no idea. But that's all part of it. Oh, I see worms. That's always a good sign. Y'all, that may be it in this bed. Those 2 little bitty ones. Those 2 little bitty ones. You can compost that, because I don't have any sprouts anywhere else. There's one. Now that's one thing that I haven't been great at, is growing a ton of potatoes. Now I usually only do 1 bed. So this is the first time I've done 2 beds. So I should hopefully double what I normally get. But I normally get like 1 little small basket. I would say, if I had to guess, maybe 7 or 8 pounds. Not a lot. It's usually enough for a couple of meals of roasted potatoes, or I've had enough before to do like a big bowl of potato salad, but that's usually it. And I guess I can dedicate more space, but I wouldn't say that I'm a great potato grower. I have grown potatoes, but I never get like a huge amount. Okay, y'all, this bed is empty. We got 3 little potatoes from this bed, but that's all right. That is part of it. Let's move on to the other bed. Let's see if this bed yields us more. Again, I can see a couple of potatoes like poking up out of the ground. So I know I have 2. I know I have 2. And see, I see that all belongs to that one. But like I planted potatoes here, there's nothing there. Let's start with where I saw a potato. There's one. Oh, those are nice sized ones. Look, those look good. Really good. Wow. That's a nice size one. That's good for 70 days. Already in that one little area, we got more than we got in that whole other bed that just had the 3 little ones. I don't know why that bed didn't produce, but that's okay. And man, this is a nice size Yukon Gold. It'll be interesting to see how the red ones do as well. This soil is very loose, which is great. just heard my husband come down here. He be sniffing out the harvest, y'all. Sniffing it out. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna do the rest of this bed and I'm gonna show you what we get. Hey y'all, look. So it's full. It is full. I'm not good at guessing weight, but my guess is maybe 15 pounds. Maybe. I got a few red ones in here. I can't remember where I planted the red ones. I know that I planted more Yukon Gold than red, but I'm thinking there should be some more red ones in the other one. So this is just this one bed here. They look really good. Already, this is more than what I got. Let me see. No, this is more than what I got in the spring with the one bed that I did in the tunnel. So I am very, very happy. Let's go do the other bed and see if we get just as much. Maybe next year I'll do 3 beds. We'll see. So let's do the first one together. People ask me sometimes what's my favorite thing to harvest. Oh, y'all. We're off to a good start. One thing I am loving is how loose the soil is. Much different than when I harvested my sweet potatoes. It is so loose, and you want your soil to be loose when you're doing things that are root crops or under the ground or tubers like potatoes. So they have a chance to kind of grow and grow and not be compacted. Now, what was in these beds before the potatoes were onions. So we had our red and our yellow candy onions here. And man, this soil is so light and fluffy. It looks so, so good. Oh, well, back to story time. So people ask me what's my favorite thing to harvest. And obviously, harvesting food still doesn't get old. Like, to be able to go outside in your backyard, in your garden, and get food that you and your family can eat, it doesn't get old. Now, I'm sure that I know there are times that I don't maybe get excited like every time, because I'm truly harvesting food like every single week out of the year, 52 weeks out of the year. God has blessed to where we are pretty much harvesting something every single week. And that is the goal, is to harvest food every single week. But I love doing things that are under the ground, like potatoes and carrots, just because it feels like a treasure. Oh, shake it off, shake it off, shake it off. They're just falling off the vine. Like, so loose. Nice size. Nice size. I'm trying to think where the red ones are, which is fine. Yukon Gold is my favorite, so I'm not too upset about that. Now in the spring, I told you I did, ooh, that's a nice one. In the spring, I told you I did russet for the first time, and I liked the russet for sure. Those were great, and I'll definitely do those again. But russet takes longer, so when I was trying to do it for the fall, I was looking for potatoes that are what they call early season or mid-season potatoes that only take 70 to 90 days. And y'all, look, we're at 70 days. I mean, literally, y'all, this is day 71. And you see what size potatoes I'm getting, and that I have potatoes. That's the biggest thing, is that I actually have potatoes, right? When I pull up a vine, I'm usually getting about 5 potatoes per vine. I don't know if that's standard. I'm not sure. All right, y'all, I'm gonna do the rest of this bed and I'll bring you back. Okay, y'all, done. We got 2 baskets full. They both are pretty much full to the top. I will weigh it and I'll put it up here how much it weighs. If I had to guess, I'm thinking maybe 25 pounds worth of potatoes is what I'm thinking. Yeah, but they look good. I got some that are, again, a pretty nice size. You can see that's the red. These are mostly the size of the Yukon Gold, which is a nice size. So imagine if they had maybe 10 or 15 more days, they probably would have been even bigger. But I'm very, very pleased with my harvest of fall potatoes. And so now I can kind of get on a rhythm. I can do spring potatoes and I can do fall potatoes to kind of help last us the whole year. Now in the spring, I only did 1 bed. And in the fall, I did 2 beds. So if I did 2 beds each time, that may be enough to get us to where we need to be in terms of potatoes for the year. And we don't eat these kind of potatoes nearly as much as we do sweet potatoes. So I'm definitely not trying to get the same amount in terms of poundage when it comes to sweet potatoes versus regular potato. So y'all, I'm very, very pleased with the harvest. So now I can kind of get on a rhythm and do spring and fall potatoes. In the spring, I only did 1 bed. In the fall, I did 2 beds. So maybe I do 2 beds each time, or 2 beds in the spring, 3 beds in the fall, depending on how my spacing works. Now, you guys know I am building out the row with the Vego garden ivory beds. So the goal is for them to come all the way down here. So right now I have what, 1, 2, 3, 4. I still probably got space for probably 4 to 5 more. And so my goal is to get 2 more over the fall and winter break, just kind of space it out. And so my goal is to have that definitely by the spring. So I got 6 months or so to buy 2, which shouldn't be a stretch. But yeah, that's the goal. If not, no big deal. But it's just a good, easy way for me to add more space without doing a whole lot of infrastructure. And I can assure you that the next bed will be the elevated Vego garden bed. I love that elevated bed. It sits up so high. And y'all, another thing about those potatoes, that soil was like picture perfect soil. It was loose. It was rich, like wonderful. And there were a ton of worms. So I hope it stays that way. And this is mix that I got from a local nursery called their Landscape Mix. That was the first time. That stuff is fantastic. Fantastic. So I'm really, really excited about that. So we'll definitely up our potato production. But again, if you've never done fall potatoes and you're in my zone or higher, definitely put that on your list to try for next year. If you want to do spring potatoes and you're in my zone or higher, then typically I'm putting those in the ground in March and harvesting like the first part of June. And that again is real tricky because that's usually why I only have 1 bed, because I'm still coming off fall and winter and then I'm ramping up for the summer. But we get more beds, we can do more things. So y'all, thank you so much for joining me today on our adventure of harvesting our potatoes. We got our fruit trees watered. You got a chance to see what we've done with the outside garden. We are on our way preparing for the fall and winter gardening season. So out here in this space, if you don't know, we don't do anything in this space in the fall and winter. There is nothing in the ground. I have that 1 elevated raised bed that I'll show you probably in an upcoming video. It's doing really, really well. In that bed, we have radishes, we have snapdragons that were overwintered, and we have some beets. Now, I just said that we don't do anything out here in the fall and winter. I mean in the ground, because I'm toying with the idea of putting some carrots and some more root crops in those beds that we just pulled the potatoes from. I've ordered some anemones, the flower, to try out to overwinter. And I'm gonna put that in that little short bed where we didn't have many potatoes. I'm gonna put them in that bed. I ordered a pack of 10. So either we're gonna fill it up with flowers or we may do some root crops, because these beds will also be used for the spring for my onions, those 2 big long raised beds that we just harvested from, but those are not going to be in the ground until February. So I can get away with doing some carrots or root crops now, and they will be done and harvested before then. So again, keeping the beds going, succession planting, and not leaving the soil empty, and then being able to get, again, food production all throughout the year. That is the name of the game. So we'll talk about that more, and if I do it, it'll be in an upcoming video. But thank you guys so much for hanging out with me today. Y'all, this is all a journey. Let's do it together. I'll see you next time, friend.